go. Add to stream. All right, welcome everybody. We are live right now. This is our first Friday where we always have an opportunity to meet with special guests to talk about issues and topics that matter to us here at Diversity in Aquatics. And today I'm joined by our Thomas Spann Wellness Council, and I am so delighted to be reunited with these folks because I get to see them soon coming up this week, where we'll be down in Fort Lauderdale for the NDPA announcement and event. But for today, we're talking about wellness. This month, August, is National Wellness Month, and there are so many benefits to being in, near, and around the water that I've got a panel of experts here that are talking about it, how to produce wellness, how does water de-stress us, and what is wellness in general. So I am just so plumb pleased as our to be here with each of you to talk about this topic. So with that stated, I am going to turn it over to our panel of distinguished experts. And I'm just going to go in order of my screen. I'm going to go ladies first, and then I'll round it out with Thaddeus to talk about and do their introductions of themselves for each of you here today. And so I'm going to have Cathleen. You're up first.
Okay, thank you, Miriam. Good evening, everybody. My name is Cathleen Dean. I am a member of Diversity in Aquatics. I am an Emmy Award-winning filmmaker, newly formed aquatic activist, swimmer, and resident of Hollywood, Florida. Should I say more? Well, I'm happy to be invited here today to share some of my work as a storyteller. I've been playing in the water space for a while. My documentary, Wade in the Water, Drowning in Racism, has screened across the nation at several festivals and internationally, just recently at the Water Safety Festival in Grenada. And today I'll be sharing my new film, Water is Our Medicine, with you.
Well, thank you so much, Cathleen. I was waiting for you to talk about Wade in the Water because that is such a huge film, and really, as we've all said, and where we've shown it internationally just now in Grenada. So thank you so much, and we can't wait to see Water is Our Medicine debuted here today. I'm going to turn it over to one of our co-council chairs, Miss Julia Spann.
Yes, hello. My name is Julia Spann, and I am one of the co-chairs for the Wellness Council. It's really named after my dearly departed husband, or transitioned husband, Thomas D. Spann. And this is all about wellness and how we can overcome a lot of the trauma and the fears and other related illnesses that we have in terms of mental, physical, all kinds of different ways that we have struggled to overcome on many levels. So many different aspects to this. We strive to strike a lifestyle, the mindfulness, and discussion about what we can do to improve wellness. So that is the whole stride of what we're doing right now. As I said, my husband, dearly departed, he came to the Blue Mindfulness and Water is Our Medicine and all of this as part of his healing process as a military veteran, dealing with PTSD and other traumas. He did this as part, and he really paved the way in many ways for doing that. The conversation needs to be had. So anyway, I just wanted to say I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to be carrying the torch and shining the light on this very important matter. Thank you.
And thank you so much, Julia, for carrying on that torch and the perspective that you've brought to us for our Wellness Council. I think one of the big things that has happened is the conversations that you've had, a part of the community that has been so influential to bring people to the water, understand this is a healing space, not only, like you said, mental, physically, but also spiritually in a way. And we're going to get into that today as well. So thank you for all the work that you are doing. Next, I'm going to have Mr. Thaddeus Gamory also join us here today. Go ahead, Thaddeus.
Thank you, Dr. Miriam Lynch, and good evening. And this is a great opportunity this month, this Wellness Awareness Month, to connect people to what water can provide in their daily life and a relationship with water. And Dr. Wallace J. Nichols wrote the book, The Blue Mind, and really pushed water to the forefront as a healing and wellness environment. And that environment includes whether you're at a beach or a pool or lake, or even in a bathtub, jacuzzi, your shower, how you experience water, the water that you drink, the natural bodies of water on the planet. And being connected with those spaces are healing opportunities that exist that many people just overlook. They're just there. They're pretty, you know. So as the Diversity and Aquatics Master Swim Coach and the Director of Community Engagement and a member of the Wellness Council, how we bring people into our aquatic space is connecting around the need for wellness and that there is an imbalance. There's an imbalance in our lives. There's a lot of stress. We're working hard, and we're trying to serve and help other people, but quite often those in service and helpers start to not take care of themselves. So the water provides an opportunity to bring back that balance, because we are water. We're 70% water. Our brains are 75 to 80% water. And when you can get dehydrated, you not only get dehydrated where you feel parched and you want to drink, you can get dehydrated at the cellular level. And when that happens, then the body begins to not function well at all. So the importance of water in our daily lives, inside and outside, is a relationship with an aspect of being human that's available every day. So I appreciate this opportunity to share that and to continue this conversation. And what are the barriers to people accessing water? Why some people are not as drawn to water or fully engaged in water as they can be. So thank you, and good to be here.
Well, thank you all for this moment. One of the things that we do all the time, and each of our guests have talked about it, and we'll talk about it some more, is when we do our membership meetings, we have a mindful moment to center us, to get us ready for what we're about to hear, receive, and the messaging that is going to happen through our discussions. And so it being Friday, I know we've been through a lot. I can't believe it's August already, y'all. And we're heading almost into fall. But let's just go ahead and take a moment right here, guided by our Wellness Council, about taking a mindful moment as we give gratitude for this week and look forward to this weekend. So I'm going to let Thaddeus, if you don't mind, leading us through our mindful moment as we begin today.
Yes, Dr. Lynch, thank you. So mindfulness is being aware of ourselves and our bodies, breathing in the here and now, bringing our attention, our sensations, our interaction with this space at this moment, with these people at this time. And that mindful moment and connection can exist and happen over the internet even though we're hundreds or thousands of miles away. So if you can notice your breath at this moment, just what does it feel like to be breathing? And to know that every one of us sitting here today sharing this experience, we share the fact that we're breathing. And by noticing your breath, you're bringing your attention of your body's existence in the here and now. Notice what it feels like to be where you are. And if you're driving, of course, keep your eyes open, because you can be mindful doing any activity, being present, being more alive, alert, and connected in the moment. Notice how it feels, the air wherever you are on your skin. The temperature, whether it's moving or still. Notice how your body contacts your clothing, the chair, your shoes, the floor. Bringing your attention into the here and now provides an opportunity for us to have a little break between the busyness of before and what's coming after. Now I invite you to deepen your breath. Feel your belly rise and fall as you breathe deeper into the bottom of the lungs. And just like a wave, a nice gentle wave, it rolls in and it rolls out. And I would like to acknowledge in this moment the land that we're on. And I'm currently on the ancestral lands of the Tequesta, Taino, and Seminole tribes of Florida. Take a deeper breath, filling the lungs, and a fuller exhale. And continue to breathe with your awareness of the quality of your breath. Not so deep, but just better quality. It's happening in the here and now. Now I invite you to place your right hand on your heart. And just notice if you can feel your heartbeat or your pulse, wherever it shows up in your body. That's also happening here and now. And when you're in water, and your awareness of its sensation that it provides, you're more connected to your body and to water in the now. Or you could be distracted, but we invite you to be present to your water experience. And before we close, just think of a space where there's water that makes you happy. And hold on to it for 3 breaths. Now open your eyes and come back to this session. And thank you, Miriam, for allowing me to share, Dr. Lynch.
Oh man, thank you. I really feel set and ready to go with today's session. And that last part that you said, like, think of your happy place in the water. And I wonder what you guys thought about when you thought about your happy place. So let's start with that. Is that I think each of us, when I say that, I see smiles starting to happen on the screen. Thaddeus, what was your happy place that you thought about in the water?
Well, as you know, I love going underwater. So I saw myself at the bottom of the pool like we do, and just laying underwater, watching the bubbles, and just the solitude and the comfort of being underwater in a relaxed, playful, joyful state. It's just amazing. Yeah.
Oh, so underwater. And Kathleen, what was your place that you envisioned yourself as Thaddeus said that?
So I have just recently had the pleasure of expanding my aquatic activities to include paddleboarding. So I've been doing a lot of paddleboarding on the canals and on the ocean here in Fort Lauderdale and Pompano Beach and up in Palm Beach County. I had a very special experience where I paddleboarded over to an island and I saw a beautiful starfish in the water. So that was my happy place, on the paddleboard.
Oh, wow. I love it. I love it. Wow. And Julia, what about you?
My happy place was when in community I was on the beach and I was just riding up and down in the ocean, with people, a group of us in our group, in our mindfulness group, and we were just, enjoying the water and the ocean, the buoyancy of that, and the warmth and the sun, and just it was just awesome. The minerals, everything you're getting, all the health that you're getting from that healthy experience emotionally, and spiritually even, so it was beautiful. It was really beautiful.
Amazing, amazing. Mine was, I got to be on deck this week back at Howard. So I was just thinking about the fun that we had with the kids out there. And, why is it that naturally, it's so joyful, some, and for others, it's not so joyful. But why do we get this feeling of euphoria when we're in, near, and around the water? Why is it part of that for us? And Julie, I'll have you start that discussion first.
Yeah, it's euphoria because you're so free. It's formless. It's like you're being carried. You are, you're getting splashed. You're getting, sensations. You're getting multi-sensory feelings, through that whole experience. It's really great to just feel that way, and you're a part of something. Like you feel like you belong, like you're a part of something in the same water. You're in the same boat, but in the water, physically, and it's just amazing. It really is. But we don't kind of go there because I think there's just hesitancy to it. There's a fear of it, as I've overcome in many ways. But once you get over the fear, then you feel the joy, the euphoria of that, So yeah, it's once you get over it and you keep practicing, it's a practice that you do have to intentionally establish.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think, yeah, you said it right there. It's like each time you go, there's like it intensifies. It gets even more. Thaddeus.
Remind me the question.
So why do we feel? Because I know you've done a lot of research on blue mindfulness. Even you have a practice that's called blue mindfulness. Why do we get this feeling of euphoria? Julia talked about it intensifies. We're part of a bigger collective. From your perspective, what have you noticed about the blue mindfulness in we feel this euphoric state when we're in, near, and around the water?
Well, first of all, water is a extremely unique compound in the universe. It's the only substance that exists in three forms: gas, liquid, and solid. It has other properties that interacts with the human body. So it has buoyancy, viscosity. So the buoyancy holds us up, makes us lighter. It counters the effects of gravity. Gravity. Viscosity means that it has a thickness to it. So what people don't realize, when they're moving water, whether you're walking or swimming, you're actually massaging muscles and they're being moved. So there's a massaging effect. And then it has hydrostatic pressure. So the hydrostatic pressure is putting the weight of the water is pressing on the body, and it has an effect on the heart and the lungs. The effect on the heart and the vascular system is that blood volume goes up. There's more blood being pumped. Usually your oxygen exchange is even better, and because you're breathing deeper, because there's pressure on the lungs. So you actually have a slight pressure. You make an effort to breathe a little deeper. The other one is that the blood pressure drops. So blood pressure drops, blood volume goes up, blood exchange and oxygen, the cells are enriched, they can do more healing. The organs are also affected by the pressure and the sense of not working on against gravity. Your joints, what happens with the joints is that they loosen up and they create more space. So people with arthritis and different joint conditions feel less pain. The joints are lubricated even more. So there's all those little features that add to the sense of wellness and well-being, right? Especially if you're feeling the temperature is comfortable. Sometimes it's cooler, so it's invigorating in hot weather. Sometimes it's warm, so it's in cooler weather, right? So we get in the shower and we go, Now we're hardwired to have a relationship with water because we came into existence in water. When babies come out of the womb, they have total comfort in and underwater, just at peace. And there's some point during the progress, during months after birth, that relationship changes, but it can be maintained, but only if you put small children, infants, in water, in safe, warm water. By the way, it got to be warm when that age. So the neurons in the brain, they did the study. Dr. Wallace J. Nichols, he got he's a marine biologist who got other scientists to test the body and how does it respond to the sight of water, to the sound of water, to the feeling of water, whether you're in the water, near the water, on the water, or under the water. And they all have different effects. And the brain lights up in a way, the pleasure, the joy, the endorphin, it lights up. So people who don't swim, non-swimmers, can visualize water and still feel peace because we're hardwired that way. So they even have a relationship with water where they're at the beach and they're looking at the water. They're standing in the sand, they have their ankles in the water, right? So there's still a relationship. Or they get into the shower and they go, shower feels great. Or it's in the bathtub, right? Bathtub, jacuzzi. There's so many ways to relate and interact with water. But we can actually, lose that appreciation for water too. Life can get stressful, and we stop doing that thing. We stop appreciating, we stop making that connection or even allowing it. It's not just automatic, but it's always available. Yeah.
That was so many jewels in there, right? The scientific why to even the from birth. I love what you said. We come from water, and then now what that means to us. And that just it's there, but many times we don't make those connections. And one thing I've really loved is the connections that have been made from the water. And Cathleen, being a filmmaker and building on those connections, what have you seen from the water that has built these social connections and community building? What has that been like from your perspective?
Well, it's been really amazing to have a community of like-minded individuals, communing, at or near the water is a very special experience. Just to bring it back to the first film that I did, it looked at the lack of access that people of color had to the water, particularly here in Florida. And that's something we experienced during the pandemic, ironically. We were prevented from going to the pools closed. We weren't allowed on the parks, and the beaches were all shut down. And that isolation, compounded, and, people's stress levels went up. And once we were able to access the water again, and flock together in community, a lot of people were able to alleviate some of their anxiety and their stress. And, it was something that we looked forward to as a community.
No,
and it grew. When I travel around with the films and I tell people of the experience, there's always new people eager to, join us at the swimming pool or join us at the beach, and to be a part of that. As human beings, we seek out connection, and it's a natural, happy place to fellowship.
Absolutely. And talking about fellowship, so how is this wellness? How does water, not only we talked about some things physical, we talked about it a little bit mental, but when we're talking about, and I can't wait to see the film, water is medicine. Water is wellness. That's common statements that I hear from our wellness council. What does that mean for people? How can they have to see is that the water is wellness. Water is a piece of wellness for anybody on the panel to give their input.
I'm sorry, Mary, I'm not understanding the question.
So what does it mean to be water is wellness?
So it's simply that. And I mean, Thaddeus so eloquently stated all of the wonderful benefits of water to the body, increasing blood volume, lowering blood pressure, massaging your joints. And then there is an ease, I think, that you have to have when you're in the water swimming. I was recently listening to a podcast by a spiritual guru, Wayne Dyer, and he was talking about his morning swim in Hawaii and how he had it in his mind that he was going to swim, this certain course. And the more he struggled, the harder it was. The harder he worked. He said once he relaxed into it, he was able to swim for miles. And I think, in these very stressful times that we're living in, accessing the water and being able to get into that meditative state and to relax into your stroke and feel the water cascading over your body is something that really does people good, in alleviating the tensions. These are very, very stressful times. So like a morning swim, an afternoon, evening swim is something that can really help to kind of balance out all of the anxiety and the tension that we're dealing with.
Beautiful. And you talked about the swim part. And I'm going to ask this one to Julia and then pass it on to Thaddeus. What are some mindfulness or relaxation techniques that we can do while being in the water? And I know that both the Saturday DIA Masters team does some of these things, as well as on the Sunday beach cleanup. But what are some of those things for those who don't have access to groups like that could do?
So while in the water, some of the things that we are able to do would be just the breathing. That's one thing. Breathing, and also a mindful thing is also the when we wait, like when we bring the waves together and like we kind of run our hands through the water, our arms through the water, and then come back out and expand. There are other exercises where we are able to go down a little bit and go up a little bit, like it's a controlled going down, not uh, like a controlled type of form of doing that. There are some poses, like some yoga poses that we have done, where you cross one leg over the other and you kind of sit into it, and you hold your balance. There's uh, different ones. There are different poses that we have, the warrior pose, and different things like that. So we do have one controlled breathing, like different breathing in, breathing out, those things. But then there's different movements that we have that are structured movements through the water that we practice. And one of the actual things that we have done and some of the things that we tell ourselves is that, hey, oxygen is available to you. That's one thing that I've learned to say to myself is oxygen is still available to you. Um, it's one thing that Nicole McDermott, one of our diversity and aquatics experts, coaches, has said is that oxygen is still available to you. And then one other thing, tense is dense. So she's like saying, keep moving. Whatever you do, keep moving because tense is dense. So those are some of the mindful things to bring yourself in that present moment to not panic, because when we're trying to get over fear and trauma, then you can get anxiety. And then you have to talk to yourself and say, wait a minute, oxygen is available to me. Tense is dense. Keep moving. Those are some of the things that we have to tell ourselves. And it's more than a notion. I can say that it's more than a notion, but it does help us. It does heal us. It does let us gain confidence in the water and comfort and control in the water as well. So that's it.
Wow, all really good things. I love that. Thaddeus.
So this is summertime, and there's quite a few people, more than can have access to pools or beaches. Beaches can hold a lot of people. And when the weather's warm up and down the coast, people go to the beach. And being more present to that natural environment and just appreciating it and just knowing that there's actually something deeper going on. So for example, with the waves crashing at the beach and the bare feet in the sand, you have an exchange of ions, negative ions. So when you have too much negative ions or positive ions, the body at the beach can be put back into balance. So that automatically introduces a de-stress and a sense of well-being. The other thing is the sound of the ocean, the smell of the ocean, the sun. So quite often, if you're going into an outdoor swimming environment, you have the air, the sun, the breeze. If at a beach or a lake, it's set in the natural setting. They've already understand that these natural settings have healing properties. Now, to further appreciate it, we've done some movements in water, similar to Tai Chi or to Qigong, as Julia was saying, where as you're touching the water slowly and breathing, there's a sensation that feels soothing and comforting. Because if you move slowly in water and you feel lighter, the body goes, oh, everything's okay. Things are okay. And I can relax, put your guard down. So quite often people with stress and trauma, they have their guards are up. They're looking for something. So when the environment is safe, and I just recently took a student to the Fort Lauderdale beach and pointed out, here's the reasons why we're safe. Look at the lifeguard stand. The flag is green. Look at the bottom of we can see the ocean and we know the depth. We feel the sensation of the waves. So it was the body reacted to the water. It wasn't just my words. But we also find your timing with the waves. Ride it in a comfortable way. Don't fight it and don't let it. And these were small waves. They weren't like these really big waves, right? So being connected in relationship with this body of water, by understanding it, appreciating it, and we actually went down and underwater, and Nikki was there, and we actually looked for seashells in shallow water. We're in like 3 feet of water, and we're looking and we're picking up seashells, and we got up like little kids showing our seashells. So these are the ways you have a deeper connection to water. These are the exercises, and this is, of course, I'm a little biased toward the beach. I'm a little biased, but I'm a competitive swimmer in the pool as well. So don't get me wrong here. Love the pool, but when you have that natural setting to access, and you appreciate it. And there's one other piece about the sand. When you really understand what is sand, it's crushed rock and coral, some of it millions of years old, that travel through lakes and rivers, through streams, and rocks are pounding each other. You even have sea glass that's been ground down and smooth by the ocean. Those things are kind of like, wow, that's pretty neat, right? And you touch it, you feel it, you look at it. Okay. Thank you.
No, but just talking about how powerful the water is, powerful as a healer, powerful in wellness. And I am just so excited to have come next for us is talking about how water is medicine and the voices that Cathleen Dean has captured through the film Water is Medicine. And so for that, I want to be able to turn it over to Cathleen to have it. This is a one-time show because guess what, guys? We got to take this down after we show this because that's what Cathleen is doing and spreading the message through water is medicine to reach so many people is something special, right? That you've got to experience it. But we are just so grateful for her to be able to show it through this means for a short amount of time for us to be able to share it with you for this one-time live session. So I'm going to turn it over to Cathleen and have an introduction of the film and talk about it with us.
Okay, great. Thank you. So Water is Our Medicine chronicles the experiences of 5 people who were living in South Florida, who came together during the pandemic, and they used the pristine beaches of South Florida to heal from their trauma, their anxiety, and depression. And they come together in this film. There's also a beautiful capture of a spiritual homegoing service that Julia held for her dearly departed husband at the beach, at the historically Black beach, Virginia Key Beach in Miami. So I'll let the film roll, and you'll hear directly from those beautiful people about how water is medicine. Is it working? Are you seeing no? Let's see.
And while we queue it up, and more than welcome, I can queue it on my computer as well, Kathleen, because it showing a little bit differently here on our side. But you know, wanted to say one couple of things is that the why about us having it called the Thomas Spann Wellness Council, as Julia has stated, is that Thomas brought us all together, right? For so much, for us to be able to do much of the work for us here at Diversity and Aquatics. And so to have this filmed, his homegoing, his transition, and showing the water was something special, Julia. It was very special for us to have a glimpse into, as well as very special for us to experience, because he always brought people to the water in all that he did, and he loved to be near the water in all that he did. And just to kind of give our audience that who did not know him, was to be, you could feel his spirit, right? Even if you weren't around him, you could always feel his spirit and joy for all that he whoever he encountered, right? And so I just wanted to say thank you, and to give our audience perspective on our why of calling it the Thomas Spann Wellness Council, as well as who he is, because he's still present. He's still present with us.
I agree with that, definitely. And one of the things he did say, and he kind of coined this, was positive energy and constant elevation. So it's like PEACE, peace on the beach, and many of the DJs and people who had that flow, going with the flow, it was PEACE, positive energy and constant elevation. So it's that energy, you know, that we get from the water as well. And I think Thaddeus probably has some more details on that, but research on that. But it's that energy, you know, that energy that we get, and it's also like a kind of a homegoing. It's like you're always calling to the water because it connects us all over the world, you know. So his spirit is everywhere. I mean, and so yeah, definitely agree with you.
And I first met Thomas at the beach at Don V. Mizell, Eula Johnson State Park, when he was DJing. And then the next time, it was Virginia Key Beach. So they're both historically black beaches in South Florida. One is Miami, one is Fort Lauderdale, or Broward County. And that music that was bringing people together at it, so that the setting was just amazing. That we have this beautiful music from Chicago, and actually New York contributed to the house music and the music he's playing, and bringing these people together. So our experience is in community, healing in community, connecting to water and to water spaces in community. The same thing with our beach meditations. It's doing it in community. And community provides, even deepens the connection that we're going through this with the pandemic and other things, but we're not alone. We're in community. So some of the ways that we respond to traumatic or stressful or troubling events is we can fight, we can run, we can freeze, or we can flock. So that's and women actually tend to be better at this than men. That women flock together and support each other, and provide some sense of comfort. Men do the same. Men may not be as as nurturing about it, but men can do the same. But quite often they're not fully expressing how they feel. But the water provides an opportunity to be a little more open, a little more expansive, a little less guarded. And Thomas, well, I mean, he opened up to me, and we shared, coming through the military, he did, and me, law enforcement, that we were managing PTSD. It's part of our lifestyle, and water and music in community So Thomas, he DJ'd at our Swimming for Joy, right? What an event. Hundreds of people, Mayor of Fort Lauderdale, dignitaries. And it was in response to something that happened that was not good, right? Something bad happened. But in response to it, we created a joyous event. We brought kids into the water. We brought adults into the water. We played. We have images with the Nestie's camera of us underwater, right? And Thomas was playing the music. And people had a chance to share. Now we're in this together, right? So, and we do make mistakes and we stumble and we learn and we get up and we keep going. And in this water space, there's a lot to learn.
Oh, yeah.
There's so much to learn, right?
Right.
And history, there's so much more history about water and ancient history and who and did and didn't do. We're all on this journey together. So, yes.
Absolutely.
I hope I was responsive to the question. I don't know.
No, I mean, this is part of the conversation, right? And to be able to have the conversation of what the water means to us and how it's brought us wellness too is what each of us have gone through. And something you both have said is that, one thing, water is fluid. It allows you, just like life, to go the direction in which you are trying to go, but it also can push you a little bit too into different directions. And I think, for me, water has meant so much, not only what it's brought me opportunity. There we go.
There you go.
There we go. And what it's brought me in different spaces, being able to swim in different countries and being able to swim and so much, but it's brought me community, but it's also brought healing in different ways as well. And you've said, hey, you can, it also allows me to fail up, right? And I think so much we get fearful of failing and it being embarrassing or it doesn't work and it's like, oh my gosh. But water is forgiving in that you learn. There's so much to be learned in this space about yourself and about where you want to go and reflection. That it's so important to have that space, that safe space to be able to do that. And I think that's what water has been, especially in my life, is where I've learned to fail up in different places.
And one thing that Thaddeus was saying about, Thaddeus started to mention was one of the things that we've done in practice is take something and throw it in the water, like something that you want to release, you release it into the water. And then something you want to get. So it's amazing. Just the number of practices, there's several that surround that, but that one, to release something into the water is just amazing.
I like that one. Cathleen?
So speaking of failing, I'm having major technical issues right now. For some reason, one stream is not allowing me to share my QuickTime window. I do not have the most recent version of the film posted online, so I'm not sure what our workaround could be.
Well, look, you got to see it in live. That's what it is. You got to see the movie live, right? And we've got to figure out a way that we can build community around the film to be able to see it live. And that's okay. That's okay. Like water, we're fluid. We are able to pivot and go wherever is needed through this. But please be on the lookout. What we will do is the next time, Cathleen, you have a live showing of Water is Our Medicine. Please let our viewers know, because I know people are so anxious to see all the films that you have done, have had great response for Wade in the Water. And now to see that this is the next, almost it's like you're building a series. I don't know if that was intentional, but to build on it and say, okay, Wade in the Water, where we are now, to understand why water wasn't always seen as wellness, in our community, and the friction that happened, how it was taken away. Because what and I'd love for you to talk about Wade in the Water, because it talks about how water started in our community into where we ended up now with disparities. And if you could talk about that a little bit more.
Sure. So with Wade in the Water, we start off exploring the cultural, historical, and spiritual connection that people of African descent have always had with the water. We learn from our subject matter experts that Africans were the preeminent swimmers prior to colonization and the Atlantic slave trade, that they had aquatic culture. The communities were near water and around water. Africans were pearl divers and fishermen, and navigated, water vessels. And I think part of the myth here is that an unskilled labor force was kidnapped from Africa and brought here, but that's quite contrary. That there were skilled Africans that were kidnapped and sold into slavery, and many of them had aquatic skills. The film explores how they went on to teach the Europeans how to swim. So, the question is, why is there such a disparity in our community when it comes to drowning right now, and the percentage of the population that knows how to swim? There was a disruption, right, with that water culture and connection. We were denied access to the beaches and the swimming pools. So we were cut off from that source of commerce, medicine. And, when people are, denied access to the water, they're obviously not going to develop the skills. So the culture changed, and the caring advice of parents who couldn't swim was to tell their children to stay away from the water. So if you can't save your children, that's what you're going to do. You're going to tell them to stay away from the water. So then that's carried on generationally. So what we as a community and Diversity in Aquatics as an organization, when we partner together to show the film, it's to dispel those negative myths and stereotypes that Black people don't swim, because we do swim, very accomplished swimmers, and also to change the culture, to encourage communities of color to reconnect with the water, to have a relationship, to utilize it for joy and health and wellness, and also water safety and drowning prevention. So that's what that film does. And, when you don't have a connection with the water, there are so many things that are lost. And you are very true. I'm sort of working on a series exploring water, and it was a natural progression to go into water as our medicine, as I experienced, the community here, and was, very close to, and also experiencing the benefits of the healing properties of water myself. I felt, very well positioned to share the story, because I lived it. I had my own losses during that time period, and I was isolating and social distancing like a champion. And to be able to reconnect with the water, and to have the benefits of being in nature, and feeling the gentle massage of the ocean waves on the body, and inhaling, and the positive ion effect really helped me, and the beautiful people that are in the film restore their mental health. And I think things are changing a little bit, but there's still a big gap in how we handle mental health in this country, and utilizing the water to address issues of mental health is really a beautiful addition to whatever other therapies or treatment people may utilize for those issues.
Beautifully said is that you're absolutely right. In our country, transparency can go not always in a way that's in a supportive environment, and not always is it allowed to be transparent of how we are doing mentally. And I love what you've said is that it is something so important, and the water is a place for that. Julia gave us an example of, hey, doing the exercise of throwing something into the water, releasing it, which the water allows us to do. I'm going to give everybody, our panel, just 1 minute each, because it will end our session. What does it mean? What do we want to leave our audience with today? And something to think about as August being National Wellness Month. And I'm going to start with Julia.
I would say to get into the water, whatever form you can, whatever way you can, as much as possible, and get in community. Those are the two things I would say. Get into community and get that support you need to into the water more and more. That's what I would say.
Beautiful. Thaddeus?
Deepen your connection and respect for water, especially natural bodies of water, because water is it's neutral. Sometimes it's not good to go in. It's dangerous. It's stormy, and to know know when not to go in, follow the signs. And sometimes it's extremely welcoming and safe. And the respect that we have for that body of water actually is a respect for ourselves, because we are water.
Awesome.
And water is our medicine.
Oh, with that said, let's kick it over to Kathleen.
So I would encourage everyone to wade in the water every opportunity that you have. We have these sayings in our culture: you're gonna drown your sorrows or wash away your troubles, and they come from they stem from that effect that the water has on us to make us feel better. So have a connection with the water. Let's change the culture, access it, love it, fall in love with the water, appreciate it. Let's keep it clean. Whether you're swimming in a lake, a river, or the ocean, we have to protect the water because water is our medicine.
Oh, with that, thank you to our panelists. Thank you each for taking out time on this Friday to kick off our month of National Wellness Month and ending us on such great last thoughts of the day. And to everybody, our next First Friday will be on September 5th with our Rowing Council, talking about how to get into rowing and where can you go row and more. And so we look forward to seeing you guys in September. But for now, use water as wellness this month. Tell us how you're doing it. Tag us in all different through our social medias, and we'll be sure to share that out. And thank you all for tuning in on this First Friday. See you guys next month. Bye.